Ghost University. This will be the Superman video that I said I would post, along with the ideas of Nietzsche and the final episode of Superman and the Smallville episode that was the last episode of Smallville that they ever showed. Because in that episode, they showed you the ideas that they were putting forth in the Smallville episode, that man does not need a God. Man needs to become a Superman who can save himself from anything. Therefore, man does not need a God. Now, I'll show many of the ideas from Nietzsche that may not deal with Superman himself and how man can save itself, but they all lead up to the idea of the Superman. Nietzsche called them, I believe, the Ubermenschen. Now I might have just murdered his term for it, but it has Uber before it. Nonetheless, Ubermenschen is what Nietzsche called it. All right. I also want to let it be known that Nietzsche believed, at some point, he believed in God. And Nietzsche read the scriptures. How bizarre. But after a while, he let go of the scriptures in favor of the idea that man should be able to save himself. And mainly he let go because he believed God wasn't available or making humanity or the world into the place that Nietzsche wanted to see it be. Because if you're reading the scriptures and you love the scriptures like he once did, then you would think that God perhaps is leading society into a fake utopia. And I don't mean fake, but Nietzsche wanted to see a utopia that God wasn't providing him with. So Nietzsche went in search of his own utopia. And he was also in favor of the great work. The great work was talked about by, what's his name? Albert Pike. And if you go look up Albert Pike and the great work, you'll see that the great work is really dualism, it's Gnosticism, it's Hinduism, which is the bringing together of opposites. Nietzsche wanted to see the good brought together with the bad. And if I really need to say it a particular way, it should be more bad than good, because he believed that power was better than love for your fellow man. So you want to take over. You don't want to provide your fellow man with love. You want to rule over your fellow man. So there's a lot more I could say about Nietzsche, but I'm going to read some selective pages from a book that I found about philosophy, and I'm going to read a few pages out of the portion about Friedrich Nietzsche, and the last section I'll read will be the section about the Superman that Nietzsche believed that man could be. And remember, Masons also believe that man can save himself only if he had the knowledge to do so. And that was what Nietzsche was all about. It's what the Matrix is all about. Can you gather enough knowledge to save yourself, basically, before you die? Because if you die without that knowledge, then you're just going to die. Like, you have to have the knowledge to live beyond this life. It doesn't come to you after death. You have to gain the knowledge before you die. So let's get to the reading. And after the reading, I'll show the Smallville episode. Thanks for watching. Jumping right into this chapter is indeed about Nietzsche. And there were some philosophers and biologists who influenced Nietzsche. But we're going to concentrate on this part here where it says, these men were brave enough to reject Christian theology, but they did not dare to be logical, to reject the moral ideas, the worship of meekness and gentleness and altruism, which had grown out of that theology. So their theology had grown out of Christianity. And then it says, they cease to be Anglicans or Catholics or Lutherans, but they did not dare cease to be Christians. So argued Friedrich Nietzsche. The secret stimulus of the French freethinkers from Voltaire to Auguste Comte was not to remain behind the Christian ideal, but to outbid it if possible. Comte, with his live for others, out-Christianizes Christianity. In Germany, it was Schopenhauer, and in England, John Stuart Mill, who gave the greatest fame to the theory of sympathetic affections, of pity, and of usefulness to others, and the principles of action. All the systems of socialism place themselves unwittingly upon the common ground of these doctrines. So they're all stealing from Christianity without really wanting to be Christians. They want to separate morals from Christianity because God created morals, and they understand this. And the only way to make it so man creates his own morals is to remove God from morality. As it says here, that some of the people of Darwin's time, or the people that came before him, had removed the theological basis of modern morals, but they had left that morality itself untouched and inviolate, hanging miraculously in the air. A little breath of biology was all that was needed to clear away this remnant of imposture. So they left morality alone, right? Morality was hanging in the air, basically, right? Theological basis of modern morality. They had removed it from God, but they needed something to attach morality to. And then it says, men who could think clearly soon perceive what the profoundest minds of every age had known, that in this battle we call life, what we need is not goodness, but strength, not morality, not humility, but pride, not altruism, but resolute intelligence, that equality and democracy are against the grain of selection and survival, that not masses, but geniuses are the goal of evolution, that not justice, but power is the arbiter of all differences and all destinies. So it seemed to Friedrich Nietzsche. When you rule or you conquer, that means justice was on your side. All right? Power is the arbiter of differences and all destinies. Power is what makes it so you get the correct verdict. Power equates to justice in the mind of Nietzsche. So the more powerful you are, the more genius you have, the more successful that you will be, which is pretty crazy coming from a man who once lived according to what the Bible states people should do. Power is where it is. He said we need not goodness, but strength, not humility. In other words, not the ability to humble thyself, but pride, the ability to raise yourself above others and to think that you are above others. So pride comes from, you take pride in your accomplishments because others couldn't do it. But for Nietzsche, this was the way to success. Power, not humility. I've talked about the bringing together of opposites, and here you guys are going to see what that looks like exactly. There's a picture of a Baphomet around the internet, and the Baphomet looks like a woman and a man and a goat and whatever else they could think of to bring together. So here we're going to see that the bringing together of opposites happens in philosophy as well. And it says, never had the philologist spoken so lyrically. He had told of the two gods whom Greek art worshiped. At first, Dionysus, or Bacchus, the god of wine and revelry, of ascending life, of joy and action, of ecstatic emotion and inspiration, of instinct and adventure and dauntless suffering, the god of song and music and dance and drama. That's the theater, people. That's the theater. And then later Apollo, the god of peace and leisure and repose, of aesthetic emotion and intellectual contemplation, of logical order and philosophic calm, the god of painting and sculpture and epic poetry. The noblest Greek art was a union. Let me say it again. The bringing together of opposites, all right, is what Gnosticism is. It brings together opposites, and here it is. The noblest Greek art was a union of the two ideals, the restless masculine power of Dionysus and the quiet feminine beauty of Apollo. In drama, Dionysus inspired the chorus, and Apollo the dialogue. So there it is again for the theater. You have the music, and then you have the dialogue, right? They come together and make a drama. The chorus grew directly out of the procession of the satire-dressed devotees of Dionysus. The dialogue was an afterthought, a reflective appendage to an emotional experience. You guys will see more of the uniting of opposites as in Gnosticism or dualism as I continue in this analysis and other analyses of what Gnosticism is all about. I know a lot of people like Kobe Bryant, and I like Kobe Bryant too. But what I don't do is worship Kobe, because Kobe didn't really know anything about the scriptures, nor will I worship any man. So not just Kobe, but any man. I'm not willing to listen to what they have to say unless they want to talk about the scriptures first. And Kobe didn't have any knowledge of the scriptures because he was known to some of his closest friends as saying he wanted to die young. And so he also had a knowledge of Greek culture. And here it is. The profoundest feature of Greek drama was the Dionysian conquest of pessimism through art. The Greeks were not the cheerful and optimistic people whom we met with in modern rhapsodies about them. They knew the stings of life intimately, and its tragedy brevity. When Midas asked Silenus what fate is best for a man, Silenus answered, "Pitiful race of a day, children of accidents and sorrow, why do you force me to say what we're better left unheard? The best of all is unobtainable, not to be born, to be nothing." So, to them, if he wanted to commit abortion or have an abortion, that's fine, because they thought that the best thing in life was not to be born. But the second best thing is to die early. And it says, evidently, these men had little to learn from Schopenhauer or from the Hindus, because the Hindus believed that you were going to go on to live life in another form or another fashion. So what would be the point in killing yourself or dying early if you were just going to go on to live life again? And not to mention that Nietzsche believed that everybody would come back to live this life again. So why would you want to do that to yourself? These people have such conflicting interests because they don't have knowledge of the scriptures. And if they did have knowledge of the scriptures, then they've forgotten them. If you die early or you commit suicide early, how can you repent? In the Bible, we should all be in the realm of repentance so we can live down our former lives. In other words, I'm saying we need to change our ways. Not live down your former lives, but change your ways in the ways that the God of the scriptures asks us all to live. And Kobe, regardless of him being a Catholic or not, he wasn't reading the scriptures. There's nothing in the scriptures that says die early. Because the purpose of life is to serve God. Now, if you're dying early, how can you serve God? But that's the life Kobe wanted to live. So, I'm not sure. I am pretty sure, actually. The pictures of Kobe that people have where he's in heaven or his daughter's in heaven and they have angel wings. They have angel wings like they're just in heaven hanging out. Not only that, but they're hanging out with Eazy-E and Tupac and the Notorious Big. All that is a lie. Because Eazy-E, nor Tupac, nor the Notorious Big believed in the God of the scriptures. None of them people were saved. And it's ironic to me that people draw pictures of Kobe hanging out with these people in heaven. And if that's Kobe's company, I'm sorry, but he probably didn't or isn't, because he hasn't went to hell yet either. But he didn't make it. I'm sorry, but that's just the way it is. We'll talk about these things more in the future. This is why I speak about worldviews and what people say out of their mouth, what they live, and how that looks in the overall scheme of life. Kobe didn't believe in God, or else he wouldn't have done that to himself by thinking he wanted to die early. Because if anything, demons will make it so that can happen. He can wish for that and die early. He wanted to be immortalized. There's a such thing as Greek culture and immortality. Look it up. And you guys will find out that the way to immortality in Greek culture was to die early. But anyway, next episode of Ghost University coming up.